Collaborative project management models have been introduced to increase both productivity and quality, and lessen risk. Much information can consequently be found about the pros of collaborative models and the benefits they bring into project management. This is especially true in collaborative project delivery models, or CPDMs, which recently have increased in popularity in the infrastructure sector. However, less is known about their cons and what adverse effects such models can have on projects. Welcome to this presentation on the dark side of collaboration, the risks of strong ties in collaborative project networks. The paper is co-authored by Hällström and Petra Bosch-Sijtsema, and Anna will be available after this presentation for the Q&A. The agenda is as follows: a short introduction to theory, a presentation of our research design, discovery, and conclusion. Many of the traditional theoretical frameworks, such as transaction cost theory and agency theory, give valuable insights into the mechanics of interactions, but leave the social structures and networks unattended. While network theory discusses positive and to some extent negative consequences of strong networks, this has not been discussed in project management or construction management literature in depth. In this study, we apply a project network lens to study the consequences of the strength of collaboration in infrastructure projects, in which CPDM is applied to increase collaboration. The project network in a CPDM is created by actors involved in a single project. These actors are connected with ties, which can be either formal or informal. Formal ties are, for example, modes of electronic communication and document platforms, meetings, or the project organization, while informal ties encompass, for example, social relationships, awareness, knowledge, and ad hoc communication. Close relationships between network actors can be seen as ties in a network. These can assist in coordinating adaptation and adjustment within the network, shifting the perspective to long-term relationships instead of short-term gains. This collaborative setting is connected to the idea of CPDMs, since the close social ties necessary build on the three principal components of trust, close information transfer, and joint problem-solving processes that are key to the concept of CPDMs as well. The benefits of collaboration have been much discussed, while the risks have been less so. First, a weakness in strong social ties is related to the classic statement, similarity breeds connection. Then social networks are often homogeneous, leading to implications regarding the interactions within the network as well as the project process itself. Second, project networks are formed by several clusters, often based on the individual's home organization. This, coupled with differing roles in the project and amount of time spent there, can create in and out groups, which have implications for both intergroup and interpersonal behavior. This leads to the question of embeddedness of social ties. Embeddedness in this context is the interaction of network ties. In social networks, the higher the level of embeddedness, the better the conditions for collaboration. However, in this case, over-embeddedness of relationships becomes a risk. A high level of embeddedness enables trust and collaboration and focuses on informal ties between project participants, while a low level of embeddedness results in arm's-length relationships between the actors. However, over-embedded ties leave the network vulnerable to sudden changes, making adaptation difficult and reducing the flow of novel ideas and innovations within the network. Then a few words about our research design. The studied projects are located in Northern Europe. We have conducted 41 interviews, which were typed and transcribed. We have also conducted document analysis and approximately 58 hours of observation of the collaborative spaces and meetings. We had 2 main cases and 1 pre-study. The 2 main cases were both large in scale, with budgets around 450 million euros and involving several hundred individual participants. They were both based on rail construction and planning, involving public transportation. They were located in a city center, and among the first in their respective regions to use a collaborative model. And both projects, furthermore, had a public client. We focused on the three actors of the client, the design engineer and the contractor, who were connected with both formal and informal ties in the shape of contracts, meetings, social relations, and organizational structures. We found that rather than the truly collaborative project network wished for in a CPDM, strong ties were created between two actors in the pre-project or initial stage in both our main cases, although this division was slightly less severe in one of them. This led to difficulties for the third actor to be an equal participant in latter phases of the project, which impacted collaboration. And respondents furthermore commented on this during phase 2, indicating long-term impact of these early ties on the project network. Another finding related to the role changes. The CPDM introduced changes in project processes, thus changing the way actors were used to doing projects. The main changes here related to the co-location required by a CPDM and the early input and planning required in phase 1. These factors indicate a need to be especially careful in the initial stages of the project, since this initial phase seems to have a major impact on collaboration later in the project. The early relationships between selected actors made later inclusion of additional actors difficult, which was seen during phase 2. The necessary role changes, combined with the uncertainty inherent in the initial phase and the new demands placed on the actors, both individual and organizational, originating from the CPDM itself, made this especially challenging from a collaborative point of view. When faced with uncertainty and change, it is easy to fall back into traditional roles and routines. In order for the CPDM to be successful, social ties must be encouraged. These ties are the result of time and active engagement, and they are built on trust and a shared understanding. In this effort, individual attitudes toward collaboration are in a key position. We found that strong ties facilitate collaboration and are beneficial for information sharing, but creating them takes time, and that it's quite hard to include actors later on in the process. Furthermore, collaboration is based on everyone sitting around the same table as equals, and that co-location is a key component in collaboration. However, collaboration is furthermore easiest with those you already know, as one of our respondents said, which leads us to the greatest challenge of collaboration. This comes from the strong social ties between individuals created in the initial phase, whose effect was still visible in phase 2 in all studied cases. These ties could be classed as over-embedded, creating in and out groups in the project network, restricting the participation of one of the actors by limiting their access to the network structure. A collaborative project network can be difficult to achieve if some actors form close relationships in the initial phase of the project, leaving some project participants outside, thus creating a dyadic relationship instead of a network. Furthermore, since a project organization lacks the formal contractual ties necessary for traditional management practices, such as human resources interventions or disciplinary action, the role of the informal social ties grows stronger in projects using a CPDM or other collaborative means. The benefit of a functioning collaborative project networks lies in the balance between different viewpoints and actors. The dark side of collaboration discussed in the article are the restrictions it can place on the network. Over-embedded social ties and too similar actors can hinder conflict resolution and the introduction of new ideas. As our respondents remarked, it is easier to go to those you know for help before approaching someone new. This implies both trust, ergo you want to approach this actor, but also a restriction on the new input, ergo you know them and how they are likely to act. Here we see the main relationships between actor organizations. The dark arrow denotes the strongest relationship, while the lighter divided arrows denote the weaker ties. In the pre-study, the contractor and the client were actively using the co-located space and talked in positive terms about the collaboration in the project, while the design engineer was seated at their home office and spoke of the project in more traditional terms. In case 1, The contractor and the design engineer consortium had previous experience of working together and had already created a strong network in the tender phase before the project properly started. While in case 2, the client and the design engineer started planning the project and setting up the project organization before the contractor was chosen, and so created a strong network in the early months of the project, although all actors were active in the co-located space. The over-embeddedness between 2 of the 3 actors was seen as a problem in all studied projects, as this exclusion was seen to restrict collaboration and diminish information flow and relational aspects of the project. To achieve the full potential of using a CPDM, one has to take the risks connected to too strong collaboration into consideration. Little attention has so far been paid to the challenges of over-embedded ties, leading to in- and out groups within the project network, limiting the introduction of innovations and new project actors, which are inevitable in a large-scale infrastructure project. Future research should therefore investigate these so-called dark sides of collaboration. An interesting approach would be to analyze the interplay between the uncertainty inherent in complex projects and collaboration. Limitations of this research relate to the geographical scope, as well as the nature of the cases studied and this inductive research mode. Thank you, and now it's time for the Q&A.